This is a 2017 Fiat 500e, which means it is fully electric. Yay, we finally got there. Plug in. So we got these F1 floor mats from like a Facebook ad, I think it was, that heard me talking about wanting to do this. So here's the rear floor mats. Now I showed you the stock rear floor mat, but I actually ended up taking out the stock rear floor mats before I put this one in for good. But I did leave the front floor mats in the car. It just seemed to fit better that way, to take out the rear and to leave the front. So that's why we did that. You can see I'm starting to tuck in the rear mat here. And this rear seat, it's got a little cut to go around where the rear seat is. And it leaves kind of a poof. You can start to see it forming there. We'll come back to that. This is a 10mm socket. You've got to remove the rear cup holder liner to see that one 10mm nut, and you can just use the socket. It's not very tight at all, or shouldn't be. And then you just kind of lift and jiggle it, and it kind of clips in right around where the e-brake handle is. But you just need to get it loose so that you can tuck in that rear mat, because I'm trying to get rid of the end stitching there. You can see all around the mat has that end stitching, which of course that's how they're made. But I want to try to hide that end stitching and make it look like the diamonds are just coming straight from underneath the trim. So that's why we're removing this and kind of tucking it in, making it look pretty before we tighten it back down. To get rid of that poof along the back there, you'd have to remove the rear seat, but I think it kind of works. Oh, make sure you use the right tools. Don't use a knife or anything sharp that might puncture the mat. It's pretty robust, but still, you don't want to cut your brand new mat, so make sure you just use your fingers or use a proper tool. Anyway, nobody's ever going to sit in the back seat for us, and if they do, it's going to be once in a blue moon. So having that bulge out along the rear seat, it doesn't look bad aesthetically. I don't mind it. You could go through the effort of removing that rear seat and making new holes in the mat to make it fit flush, but you know what? It doesn't bother me at all. So no big deal. I think it looks great. It still does. The front floor mats are good. You can see that little floppy piece that goes alongside of the seat. They don't extend all the way up into the footwell as far as I'd like, but they extend far enough that you don't notice that they don't do that unless you get down and look. So it's good enough. And they're cut nicely to go around the seat rails. There's that little flap that goes alongside of the seat, and that kind of finishes it. It adds that little touch that makes it look good, and it probably hides all the stuff that will inevitably fall into the seat anyway. So I did not tuck in the floor mat on the outside of the car. I didn't take out the door sill trim or anything like that. I figured a little bit of movement is okay and probably preferable. I did tuck in, I'll try to brighten this video, but I tried to tuck in and get rid of that end seam underneath the center console trim. And you can do that just by pushing it with your fingers. So I went ahead and did that. I think having it anchored in one side is probably good, and having it loose on one side is probably decent too. I don't know, I might go back and try to finish off that tuck in underneath the trim on the other side. We'll see how it does. It's still the first week, so. And it's my fiance's car, and she hasn't complained about it moving around or anything yet. So that's nice. You can see on this driver's side it does have a heel pad, which is nice. I think I talked about wanting to take my shoes off first time getting in the car. It really is a nice material. Can't complain there. It does not help with sound deadening. That was the only thing I was kind of hoping that helped with sound, the road noise when you're driving along. It doesn't really do that. I mean, it might have a minor impact, but nothing noticeable. Ties it all up nicely. And then we get to the rear floor mat. You know, everything so far has been pretty tailored to where the floor mat's going. Not this piece. This is just a waste of money at this point. I definitely would not buy this rear floor mat again. It's not cut for the rear. You can see that rear area has a little area around the probably what's jutting out for the rear shock mount, I'm guessing. And then on the passenger side, and then on the driver's side, it's kind of more flat at a slight angle. And the mat doesn't extend all the way. And when the seats are folded flat, which 500 owners know that's what you spend the majority of your time, the rear seats are folded down like that. So the mat would be ideal is if it tucked in all the way into those corners, and when the seats were up, the floor mat went with the seats so that the floor mat was staring you in the face if the seats are up, and when you fold the seats down, they would still be covered by floor mat, and the trunk flat area would still be covered with floor mat too. That would be the ideal. I'd be happy to spend money on that type of mat. This, not so much. Here's a little before and after. After's kind of moving around a bit, I guess, but it gives you kind of an idea. I think it really makes the car look nice and finished. It's just that rear floor mat. That's the only thing. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.